Hi, I'm Nick Paulson. You're watching News 24 Live. This Monday morning, we're here to review the sports action from the weekend with Sport 24 editor Garen Lamley and chief writer Rob Howing. Gents, good morning.
Morning, Nick.
Hello, Nick.
Garen, thanks for coming in after your gun run escapade yesterday.
I'm glad I get to sit down, as I certainly can't stand or walk.
Gents, I'm going to start with the Bafana result. It's probably the really big, satisfying result from the weekend. Rob, you obviously saw the game, and Bafana top of the qualifying group.
Yes, absolutely. A real sort of turn up for the books in many respects. I mean, let's face it, I think most of us were pretty nervous when the new regime took over. We still thought that, Bafana were likely to stay in the doldrums, and then it was going to be a slow and painful sort of process of rehabilitation, if you like. But they've actually exceeded most of our wildest dreams. The fact that we're now actually getting results in Africa is a particularly sort of a pleasing development, I think, because Bafana in the past have often sort of tripped up when they've had to go sort of anywhere kind of north of Zimbabwe, if you like. You read about the sort of pitfalls and the travel hassles and the landmines that get placed in the way. And Bafana have never responded that well, or certainly not in recent years, to going into sort of more central parts of Africa. So to come away from what apparently was a massive turnout, apparently the stadium was oversubscribed, was dangerously sort of overloaded with people. And the best tribute you can give to Bafana really was that people started streaming out in their thousands, 10 or 15 minutes before the finish, knowing that Congo were a beaten side, that they'd been beaten by a team that kept their composure fantastically, and did the business in really clinical fashion. It wasn't a bad game either. Television pictures not ideal, but you could see that it was quite a fast-flowing game. Both teams quite prepared to counter-attack. A lot of cut and thrust, some nice football. So I think a lot of people feeling unusually good about Bafana right now.
Garen, last week you called a draw at best, so you obviously must be quite surprised as well. And then of course this week the return fixture, which should be a sort of certain win.
Yeah. I was, like Rob said, a fantastic game. I was really surprised we actually walked away winners. I thought we'd settle for a point. It wouldn't have done our chances any harm at all. And also based on the fact that Congo had done really well in their first two games. So to pick up the 2-0 win is fantastic for Bafana's chances of qualifying for AFCON next January. So they're top of the log at the moment. They've got Sudan just behind them. I think the big news is that Nigeria in our group look like they're going to miss out, and they're one of the top teams in Africa. So that'll be a massive surprise. So even though we still have to play Nigeria away, it might actually be irrelevant the outcome of that game. We might have qualified already, and they might well have been knocked out already. So looking really good for Shakes Mashaba's team at the moment. Like you say, Wednesday, the return fixture now against the Congo. But based on the last Saturday's match, I don't really see Congo bouncing back to beat us. And that should then guarantee our spot next January. So return fixture Wednesday night, 8 o'clock kickoff. Looking good again. I think I'll predict the win for the home side in that match for sure.
Robert, and also Shakes clearly having the confidence to do some experimenting, bringing on this 17-year-old Rivaldo in the second half, retaining the captaincy. We weren't sure about whether he was going to stick to this rotation policy.
Yes.
So in terms of his team selection, do you think he's sort of hitting his straps?
He is. A lot of his selections seem to be coming up trumps. For one thing, this new sort of reliance on youth. We always knew that he would favour youth, given his own experience of Bafana age group level, and his wisdom about who were the sort of cream of the young players. And I think he quite wisely just realised that Bafana needed a significant shake-up. I was a little bit cynical when it first happened, because I sort of thought, does South African football just generally have the talent and technical skills to justify the sudden mass infusion of youth? But it clearly seems to have worked. He is obviously a sort of a father figure to a lot of these young players, and they know that he will back them, that he will show confidence in them. And we saw that a young guy like Kutsia came on and actually managed to assert himself pretty well. I also like the fact that he seems to pinpointed who his kind of midfield dynamos are, if you like. Dean Furman and Andile Jali seem to really work very hard. They're playing with a special sort of relish and level of industry that is kind of gelling the whole team quite well. Still not convinced about our strike force, although we did get two pretty clinical strikes. That was obviously very, very pleasing. You have to be a little bit careful because with a young team, you can never be sure about the consistency. We shouldn't take for granted beating Congo in the return match. They did have plenty of chances in the home game, and we'll be aware of that. And thinking, especially if they play on a good surface in Polokwane, they may still feel that they have a little bit of a shout. So we just have to be a little bit careful. But I'm not sort of trying to irrigate the parade.